Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a long week of bad news, bad things going on, but it's all right. We're going to finish off with the Unpopular Opinions in Pokemon series. Another entry here. Forgot to mention in the last one, but Sakari is the creator of the thread on efour that we're going to be looking at. He has a YouTube channel. Check him out in the description. Should be streaming, Blasty and I should be streaming Legends Arceus if all goes according to plan. Tonight, I'll make some sort of post regarding that. Should be a pretty good time. I hope there's not as much crafting as advertised, but you never know. Well, maybe it'll be all right. Not my thing. I know a lot of people like to craft, but not for me. So let's start off here with Enigma. Maybe we're going to use the bolds here to condense this down. Who says, my opinion on box breaks, they guarantee unweighed packs, but they can often be predatory, deceitful, and waste money. I mean, it's in the eyes of the buyer, or beholder, whatever you want to call it. I think they're fine. Are the prices usually jacked up? Yes. Does that depend on who's doing it? Yes. Is that part of the experience? Yes. So here he has in bold, if the value is in the experience, then the experience is the value. I think that kind of sums it up. I don't know if he's intentionally saying that. Not many people disclose the reality that buying into a box break is gambling or its implications. So, I mean, it's the same thing if you're going to open your own pack. It's still the same amount of gambling, I guess. Do people over sensationalize the values and what you can possibly get when they're advertising PSA 10s when it's clearly not a PSA 10 that's coming out of the pack? It's not graded at all. So I don't know. That I think can be a little bit on the I get that it's for the hype stuff. It's the same with the thumbnails with the open mouth and oh my god, I pulled a $69,000 Charizard. But I don't know. I personally wouldn't do that. But I can see why people do and people want to get excited about it. It's a little misleading. So, I mean, it's not the worst Pokemon crime that can be committed, but I would say it's still kind of scummy to do so. ShadowlessAbra says, unpopular opinion. PSA 10 is almost never worth the premium over PSA 9, especially since gem mint doesn't mean perfect. I personally would agree for my own collection. But I completely understand where if people are collecting graded cards, why they would want the 10, where that would be the highest grade. And I've even seen a lot of people complaining recently about CGC being too hard to get the 10, that people would rather just have that perfect grade or that top grade and then make the decision based on the card itself. Because you can have strong and weak grades in any grade or in any number. So... Niche says, new opinion, Vikavolt is very cool, and I think it would have made a great Gen 1 or 2 Pokemon alongside Heracross and Pinsir. Yeah, I guess it kind of like fits into that beetle zone. I really like Chargerbug and the fact that it was used as a battery for RC cars in the anime. Card Games 12345 says, I don't know if this is unpopular, but half arts are underrated. I love them and store them in mini binder, so it is easier to move around and look at them in natural light outside or near a window. The ones with good nature background, like Crimson Invasion, Gyarados. So, yeah, I agree. The half arts, they're pretty cool. I think maybe they might be underappreciated because of the rarity on them. If it was something that was really hard to get, people might appreciate them a little bit more, but... You even had, I think did you have commons and uncommons? There were definitely uncommons. There were probably commons as well that were those half arts. But I agree, they were nice cards. But I totally get why people overlook them. If they're not hard to get, people tend to dismiss them as just another part of the set or part of the bulk. Deleted member. So hopefully it wasn't for this take. They say Generation 8 is actually an upper half gen in terms of quality. I don't know if I don't think I would personally put it in the top half in terms of the Pokemon inside the generation or the game. I don't know. I do really like Sun and Moon, which people aren't huge fans of, but all right, Coop13 says, Rayquaza is overrated. He's a dragon Pokemon without any bite. Have you looked at his mouth? He's 95% gums. So I don't know if him biting me is like my biggest concern. Probably all the other attacks and things that he could do to you without getting into any of the 34 stuff. But more so the fact that he's got giant claws. I mean, there are front teeth there. I mean, even if he gummed you to death, I think that would be a terrible, terrible time. Fourth star, TCG says, we got a part 1 and part 2 here. People who endlessly complain about Pokemon being ruined by investors, flippers, scalpers, money mindset are worse than the people who actually do this stuff. Yeah, probably. But also, I can't get over the fact that people don't realize that it's a temporary issue. I get where if you're just coming into the hobby now and you haven't seen the trend, or the fact you can't visualize the fact that Pokemon's just going to print more. And as long as you don't need them on release, then it's not a big deal. I think the people that are, pretending to seal collect, and or the people that just can't wait for the second wave or anything like that are contributing just as much as these flip masters. If you don't buy from the flippers, the scalpers, or whatever, which they're not even an issue anymore, so it kind of sucks that we're still talking about this. But yeah, if you don't buy from them, their business model doesn't work because they're trying to instantly flip the stuff. They're not holding it long term because they can't. Number 2, just because the way someone engages with the Pokemon hobby is different from the way you personally do doesn't mean they are evil, ruining the hobby, or need to stop. So I guess this is all kind of one part here. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. If you like to collect sealed product, go to town. If your intention is just to sell it later on anyway, go to town. It doesn't matter. Everyone will be all right. And whenever there's a shortage, you can be very certain that Pokemon will correct for that. In this day and time, the hype level that we currently just experienced is not sustainable. There's a lot of people with temporary interest. If you're around long term, that it's nothing to be concerned about. I've been saying this all along, but and I know some people don't like to hear it. But if you're a long-term collector, this little blip and uptick is a non-issue. Stick with it, and you'll be just fine. I promise. Troy says, "Okay, here's one that's probably unpopular. I don't like collecting full sets. What? The idea of having, say, a full base set is fun until I realize it means I have to spend money on Nidoking. Even god tier sets like Neo Rev have their Magnetons and Blissies that I just don't care for. I prefer picking up one card I like from the set, one from that one, this promo, etc. It's all my favorite cards instead of a set with a few cards I really like and a few I don't give a shit about. Of course, this is just me. I respect the hell out of set collectors' dedication. So that's the thing. If you don't like sets, don't collect sets. You don't force yourself into something just because other people do it. If you like just one Pokemon, by all means, collect one Pokemon. If you like sets, collect sets. If you like graded cards, grade your cards. Buy them graded, whatever. Entirely up to you. Collect the way you want. For the most part, unless you're doing something really obscure and buying out like energies or something like that, it's all, you'll be fine in the long run. Crystal HoHo says, a set is only as good as its hollows. I don't care how beautifully illustrated the commons and uncommons are. If the hollows are meh, then I ain't buying. So I don't know if he's talking about older sets. I would imagine probably. Newer ones would be a little bit weird, since there aren't that many people that are like chasing the hollows in newer sets, since they aren't the real chase card anymore, or the hard to obtain ones. Well, I guess some of them are pretty hard to obtain because when there are a lot of hollows in a set, then you're not getting holos that often, so they can actually be harder to pull than some of the V's or GXs, which is kind of funny. But yeah, holos are good. I'm glad that they're still around, even though they're not the desired thing anymore. Collector says, collecting purely out of nostalgia does not automatically mean you run on nostalgia as a person. It simply means your relationship with Pokemon specifically is based on it. I'm not one of those people, but I totally get how they feel. Humans like to compartmentalize. It doesn't matter if you get your fix by complaining about scalpers or complaining about the people complaining about scalpers on efour. I'd argue the latter is even more of an eyesore, since the former is just ridiculed and shut down to the point where almost no one dare to do it anymore. It's not allowed to turn into this cyclical circle jerk like the other one is. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of it is nostalgia. I mean, if you liked Pokemon growing up and you like the new Pokemon, I mean, that's like semi-nostalgia, even though a lot of that stuff probably didn't exist since then, unless you were one of those people that never stopped Pokemon every year for 25 years. So, I don't know. I think a lot of people start off with nostalgia, and that's why they'll go collect the set that they grew up with, or the sets that they grew up with, and then they'll move on to other aspects, because either that or they'll, find something else to do other than Pokemon. But yeah, totally up to the individual. And if they're not enjoying stuff that isn't actually nostalgic to them, then what's the point? All right, so maybe we'll condense this one too. Rip Guy Fox says, I have said something along these lines already, but not in this thread, so here it goes. I don't think that the ideal amount of exposure for the hobby is as much as possible, as it has been preached many times. I think it should be popular enough to stay alive and generate enough demand for new products, but it shouldn't be so popular that it becomes lucrative enough to make life-changing money by scalping and reselling new product, or by selling single cards that aren't exceedingly rare. So, here again, we just had to take into consideration that the recent influx of popularity and the supply that can't match that is a very temporary thing. No one's making life-changing money by scalping. I'm sorry. Even if they made a bunch at one point in time, even now it's not really a practical or viable thing. Or like selling single cards. I mean, the selling single cards thing would end up being a thing anyway if you were making a ton of money off selling single cards, if you just held on to it for long enough, if you've been in the hobby for long enough, even without the spike. Not to the same extent, but that's the thing. I think this the entirety thing of the entirety of this statement just is summed up by the fact that we have to remember that the current spike, even though it'll probably bring everything up from where it was before the spike, because some people will stick around, there's a lot of temporary interest, a lot of interest that is solely on the money end of things. That won't stick around. That's not, once everything returns back to normal and you can't resell new product off Walmart shelves, then those people aren't going to be around. So is it unhealthy? Was it unhealthy? Yes, but at the same time, it obviously, not obviously, but it was going to correct itself. And that's a large reason why I held back in recent times on purchasing older stuff. I was kind of banking. I mean, no one can predict the future, but I was banking on the fact that we would see retraces, and sure enough, we did. So I would be enjoying modern stuff regardless. It's a good way to open packs. It's new. It's exciting. I don't like modern any more than I like vintage stuff. But I think in the current times, for the time being, it's good to take a step back, be patient. Patience is absolutely key, and wait for stuff to settle down. Like, there's no reason to FOMO into a crazy market spike, in my opinion. But, to each their own. If it's something that you really, really want, and you're not afraid of losing a little bit of money on it or overspending a little bit, then maybe earlier is better. But to me, I think patience is the play. Asian Buffet Reseller says, unpopular opinion, Battle Styles is a great set to invest in long term. I've been doing some research, and I believe $87.99 Battle Styles is a great set to invest in. Rudy, Danny, Mason have increased booster box prices from low 80s to high 80s. So a Battle Styles booster box at 88 free shipped is basically at distribution prices. As some Pratt always says, sealed products will always increase in price. Has yet to be proven wrong. I think he responded to this comment and maybe doesn't want to be associated with Battle Styles. Not many people think it is investable, thus less people will keep it sealed. It is a competitive booster box like Rebel Clash, and Rebel Clash has gone from 88 to 187 on TCG players. So I think you're overanalyzing this. Generally, yes, anything sealed product, and don't get into something really obscure like a theme deck or whatever that doesn't have anything significant in it. But in terms of a booster box, if you hold on to it, over the years it's going to go up in price, provided Pokemon doesn't die. The odds of Pokemon dying, slim to none. It's crazy popular. It was crazy popular before the boom, even before Pokemon Go, any of that other stuff. Yes, it's always going to increase in price. For the most part, can't predict the future, can't guarantee that, but sealed product generally will go up in price over time. At what rate? Who knows? Some probably better than others. Would I absolutely dump all my money into one set if I was just looking to hold on to sealed stuff? No, definitely not. I think it's better to diversify. I also think it's a good idea to not overpay for modern if this is your game plan. So if you bought the $500 Vivid Voltage booster box, and then we got the reprint recently, it's in standard. It's high risk, super, super high risk of reprint because players need it. And if the Pokemon Company has any means to reprint that, they're going to make it accessible for everyone. Yeah. So I don't know. I think you're putting too much thought into this. For fun, I would always just keep a booster box of each set sealed. I'd open one or two. I'd keep one sealed. And if it goes up over time, great. If it doesn't, oh well. But that's the thing. Different sets. That way you're not trying to predict, is Battle Styles going to make or break me? Do not put all your money into one set. Don't do it. I mean, do what you want, but... Dig Boy says, hopefully I don't ruffle too many feathers, but I'll just state my opinion without elaboration and let it stew. Unpopular opinion, the mindset that modern English handling of sets distribution set identity is bad compared to Japan, and or the idea that WotC over modern is all boomer therapy that is made for boomers by boomers that are out of touch. Yeah, I don't know. Like the set things, like WotC makes weird decisions, or not WotC, but the Pokemon Company makes weird decisions with modern product. Some impossible to predict, like including Charizards in certain sets before the Japanese release. Some of the stuff that they combine is getting a little bit out of control with the size. So I don't know. And then like WotC over modern. I love modern. I love WotC. I love all of it. So I don't know. I'm impartial, but if some people want to stick to one or the other, by all means, go to town. Ooh, we got quite a few left here. The Sir Knight says, I collect German, English, and Japanese cards, and among the 3 Japanese cards are by far my favorite for 3 simple reasons. The print quality is amazing. Recently, the German and English cards I bought were horribly cut and centered, and they have that print smell. Okay. I don't know. I think the print smell is good. Sometimes they have a different print smell. I think some of the Battle Styles, when they first came out, I don't know if that was a different location, different equipment that was used. And they were also a little bit more matte than usual. You can get almost all common, uncommon, rare cards from a set by buying one box. You are guaranteed a secret rare, therefore it is far easier and cheaper to go after chase cards. I'm not a boomer. So I'd like to see, I don't have time for this, but I'd like to see someone actually put together the combined sets from the Japanese and find out how much product you would have to open in Japanese versus how much you would have to open in English. Be hard to do when they add random like promos and stuff like that. But to see like if there's two sets and it's just those two sets combined in a one English set, I'd like to see, because I mean, yes, you get like your secret rare per box, and the boxes are smaller and probably less expensive. But I think that can also be like full art trainer, where in English now, depending on the set, you can get like your secret rare and a full art trainer and even a hyper rare or something all in the same box. So I don't know. I think it would take an insane amount of product and money to complete any set if you were, trying to get one of each card from a set, but that breakdown would certainly be interesting to see how it compares. Way Too Slow Bro says EX era pack fresh cards smell the best. I haven't opened any EX era other than that's not true. I opened the battle sets. I can't remember if they smell better or worse, or if they would even smell the same as the booster packs. I haven't opened any EX era booster packs as far as I know. All right, Quachancy says defeatism in collecting is a self-fulfilling prophecy. When I see people post, "This is my Grail card, but I'll never be able to get it," I agree with them, because they will not work towards getting it with that attitude. But when someone posts, "This is my Grail card, it will be very difficult to obtain, but I will not give up," I have much more confidence in their success. Oh, yeah. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. If it's something that they really want, if it's really their Grail card, they probably should be trying to get it. But I guess that depends on the mindset and the attitude of the individual that's going after it. Don't give up. CCRN Trade says it is still easy to obtain raw mint, WotC, and EX era cards for good deals. Yeah, of course. I mean, even when the market was at its absolute highest, there were still deals to be had. Did you have to look a little bit harder for them? Yes, but they're out there. They're out there. And not to mention the fact that now that things are retracing, I mean, you probably don't want to catch a falling knife, but obtainable. We'll see how things play out. Hopefully, everything settles down to just a normal state. It's gotten to the point where, or did get to the point that I stopped trying to remember prices, because they were changing so often and so quickly that there was no point in even trying to keep up with those. So just individually price everything, look it up as you go. In a more stable, normal market, typically you can have some sort of price memory that makes sense. Right now, no point. Quachancy says, I didn't realize Golurk was based off the mythical Golem until today. I thought it was just some ugly robot. To be honest, I am a little uncomfortable with the design and feel it is disrespectful to the religious history of Golem, which must be made from the earth, mud, or clay, not have flashing lights and rockets. Japan should stick with Japanese mythical beasts for inspiration on new Pokemon, not venture into other religions. I don't want to see Ganesha-style elephant Pokemon either, for example. I think they probably don't care. And I can't imagine it was any form of disrespect that they were aiming for. And I don't know, maybe don't predict the future with your elephant. That may or may not happen. Legendary Mewtwo says, I don't mind TCG not guaranteeing a secret rare in each Japanese box. I also feel like guaranteed SR is a form of fixing a box that shows they can and will control pull rates. They should control pull rates. It should be, that's how it should work. I mean, even in English, the fact that you get a certain amount of hits, or usually a certain amount of hits per box, per booster box, reflects what the total pull rates are. If you have loose packs, as I've tried to explain to people many, many times, they're going to end up working out extremely close to those actual pull rates. So I think they should control pull rates. Maybe not necessarily per box, but I mean, it is nice if someone's opening an entire booster box that they at least get something. We've done it on the channel many times where we open 36 loose packs. Sometimes we get our butts kicked. Other times it's way better than what a booster box would be, but it averages out to be the same thing. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that you get one secret rare per Japanese box. All right. I think that's pretty much good for that one. We have Chromatic Lantern, who says, so I've never really seen this discussed on efour before, so I'm honestly not sure if this is an unpopular opinion, but I strongly dislike the vertical dots on the left side of the card frames on EX series cards. While the artwork for so many EX series cards is gorgeous, the overall presentation of so many cards is just ruined by these hideous... All right, so let's take a look at the dots that he doesn't like. I personally don't mind them. I think it's kind of nice that it breaks up the like really plain background. Do they have to be dots? Not necessarily. It'd be kind of cool if they were the energy symbols. But also kind of neat that your energies end up inside the dots. I don't know if that's always the case, but it certainly is here. That's pretty cool. And I don't think I've ever noticed that or looked at it enough. There's some like really small details that some people notice on cards that I don't pay attention to. I'm usually more paying attention to the artwork and the general layout rather than the little dots and stuff. But Will says, I can't see anything except first edition base pre-E-Series WotC going up in value in the next 12 months, even PSA 10s with slow pop growth. I don't know. I mean, I would like to think, and there's no way to really know, that everything will kind of come back down into where it should have grown. Maybe even a little bit more from the spike that we saw in the hobby. But we'll have to see. I don't know about that. I know the first edition base and stuff like that has dropped dramatically over the last little while. And this is July 10th, 2021 for reference. We're looking at that much later on. Gengar Sama says, Call of Legends is one of the best sets created. I would agree, but only on the fact that they have the best energies in the set. They have the holographic or like reverse energies with the Pokemon on them. I think those are probably my favorite energies. Rest in peace, everyone that has them on PTCGO as they disappear into oblivion. Azul says, less fun, unpopular opinion. The level of cognitive dissonance and ego-fueled drivel that is spawned in this hobby is as astounding as it is alarming, with the silver lining being that one or more people are willing to engage, and why that is or why it isn't a good thing. I'm excited for everything to like normalize. Even if it's higher than what it was before, even if there's more people, just a more stable market would be, I think, more enjoyable. And Mysterious Mountain Skyridge Gyarados will forever look like a rubber chicken to me. Well, I mean, I don't know if you're helping your case there by photoshopping the rubber chicken onto him, but as long as you still love him, then let him be a rubber chicken. Jimmy says, this may have been mentioned before. I've not read through the entire thread, but I believe it's perhaps relevant enough to mention here. Cards just sat for months at ridiculous prices which no one in their right mind would ever consider buying. Of course, I appreciate that everyone's entitled to list whatever the card they want for whatever price, but you either want to sell the thing or you don't. So people don't seem to get this, and I get a message every now and then on eBay. If I have something that I don't want to sell and it's already listed on eBay, or if it goes down in price or whatever, then I'll just leave it at the higher price, or I'll mark it up, because I don't necessarily care if it sells. But if it sells for that amount, not the end of the world. So a lot of people also want to show off that they have like really expensive stuff. That's not necessarily the reason for why something's marked up. It could just be that somebody has a booster box and they don't want to sell it under a certain value. It doesn't have to be market price. If they have best offer on it, you can put an offer on it. Or if they just don't want to take any less, you just have to accept that that's what it is. Maybe they don't want to take the listing down. Who knows? It's up to them. It's up to you to find out if you actually want to buy it for that price or not. Maybe it's the only one, and even though one is sold for less than that at some point, that's not what they want for it. Omrat says, the gold secret rare items are really cute and I don't mind pulling them as my secret rare from a Japanese box. Some of them I like so much, like the stadiums, that I genuinely list them as some of my chase cards. Yeah, the stadiums are really, really nice. And I think it's cool to have different rarities of the same cards. That way, depending on if you want to bling out your deck or for collector reasons, it's another chase card. But also keeps the trading card game affordable for those who don't care if they have a golden ultra ball or whatever. Next, Nachi says, Pokemon cards look so sick when you don't look at them for a while. So this is probably just that you were burnt out. You need a little break. Close your eyes. Go do something else. Have a separate hobby. Whatever you need to do. Sometimes you need to spend a little bit of time away from something to really come back and enjoy it to its full potential. Lavender Gengar, whether or not that's other Pokemon stuff, is entirely up to you and what you need. Lavender Gengar says, I like Leonhardt as much as the next guy, but for someone who opens so many old packs, he sure knows too little about what cards are in each set, almost losing his mind because he thought a reverse Magcargo from Skyridge could be a Zard, when the only Zard in the set isn't even fire type. Or even knowing at first if Revelation Scrowback was hollow or not. Seems that nowadays he is more about the hustle and the hollows than anything else. So it's important to take into consideration that it's more difficult to not make little errors like this and more noticeable for someone to pick it apart after they do it. When you're recording, sometimes you blank on something. Sometimes you blank on a Pokemon name that you normally wouldn't. And there are so many cards and so many sets. And yes, he's opened a lot of them, that a lot of this stuff you don't necessarily memorize and have right on the tip of your tongue as you're opening. I think the prime example of this is anyone that is opening in a different language. So say Japanese cards. That's the real test. Put yourself on camera, open a pack of Japanese cards or a box of Japanese cards, and see if you can name all the Pokemon. Because with whatever there are 900 now, pretty hard to do. Even though you probably know the Pokemon name, you might not remember it right at the time. So take that into consideration. There's a lot of this stuff. There's a ton of information. Some people are better at certain aspects than others. It goes the same with the TCG or with the video games. If you know it, you know it. If you spent a lot of time in certain areas, you're going to know it better than others. But it's impossible for any one person to know everything about Pokemon that ever existed and be able to spout that off right off the top of their head. Could he have probably looked up the set list and everything beforehand? Yes. But, I mean, he probably doesn't have time for that. Who knows? And then, in other news, non-holo WotC cards, non-ultra rare or more modern cards, and even commons and uncommons don't get the love they deserve. Also, I dislike first edition cards. So, first edition cards are fine. They don't have a place in the current state of the trading card game. But, I don't know. There's no reason to dislike or like them. And I agree. The artworks, I think the new sets coming out, the new artworks, the commons and uncommons, and stuff that don't get spoiled as much are just as enjoyable to me as pulling the big stuff from the set. Really cool to see new artworks and just the insane amount of artworks that come out from these new non-holo cards. that have little to no value, but very, very fun to open and look at. McMimi says, on the YouTuber subject, I feel the quality or enjoyment of the content went downhill once the focus shifted away from enjoying Pokemon cards for what they were, cool artworks of a series we all enjoy, to what it is now. Flashing card values, PSA 10s are showing the price of the last sold at auction on screen. The title of the video saying I opened $10,000 worth of vintage Pokemon product. Yeah, I don't know. That's not my thing, but some people like to see the big price tags, and obviously it works if people are clicking on it, and that's why they keep doing it. So, and don't get me started on shock and surprise thumbnails for the videos. If YouTubers want a shock/surprise thumbnail, they should open packs in a haunted hospital. That would be a video. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's sort of the YouTube thing. If that turns into the meta, if people are clicking on that, if it gets views, if it gets clicks, which apparently it does, then that's what people will typically end up doing. So you get one. If you see people having success with that, typically everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon, and then you end up with a bunch of people with open mouth thumbnails and prices across their screen. Omrat says, on English cards, the first edition stamp actually gave a nice symmetry with the set stamp, in my opinion, but on Japanese it looks cleaner without the stamp. Man, I get that people are really concerned about all these little details. Personally, I never even thought about symmetry on it. I think this is beyond my scope of what I necessarily care about. I think first ed stamps on older stuff is cool, where it was so easy to get entire sets. That added a little bit of difficulty, but nothing more than that. And even people comparing like Shadowless to Unlimited, I don't really have a preference. They're very similar. Niche says, first edition in general has way too much emphasis put on it for being the same or greater print quality than the Unlimited in most cases. I don't know why you'd pay multiple times more for a stamp that signifies a less rare copy, but that's just me. So I guess you're talking about condition wise, or like in PSA 10s or something. I don't know. This doesn't really matter to me. The pop report, I don't really care. I mean, outside of something like the Lugia and the Typhlosion, the T17 being a little bit harder to get nice copies, or the lesser copies that I would be after anyway, lesser condition copies that I would be after. I mean, I guess that's useful information for me in terms of pricing and what I'm looking for, but that's about it. Yeah, I don't know. Too concerned. Last one. We have one from Toybot, which may or may not be the best of the episode. They say basic gapless will overtake first ed Shadowless in desirability. So by gapless here, they mean the fourth print or the 1999-2000 print of base set. I'm sure this got a lot of people worked up because it almost certainly will not happen. But the reasoning here is better print, unique Charizard Holo, better, thicker cardboard, 10 times more rare than first ed. So rarity is not always the end-all be-all, as we see with Shadowless not being as desired as first edition. But I don't know. It's just more people don't know about it. So if they don't know about it, if they don't care about it as much because it's not as well known, it's not the thing, then the value is just never going to match these other big boys. Will it be more expensive than your Unlimited print? Yes. I don't even think it has a chance against the Shadowless printing, because that's just more accessible information for everyone. But we'll see. We will certainly see. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Join the Discord. Again, I'll be probably streaming the Legends Arceus tonight with Blasty, so stay tuned for that. Should be a good time. Have a good one. Bye.